Good morning, guys. Good morning to you. Hope everybody's doing well. And welcome to Cornerstone and another heart to heart talk with the Sawyers. I am Tony Sawyer, and my husband Clifton Sawyer is on his way against my wishes. He has been battling the flu for the last 3 days, but he is determined. He's coming in here with us today, so he's getting ready. You need help? He says he's okay. Okay. So anyway, let's see who's here. There's Vern. Vern came in first this morning. Hi, Vern.
I'm here.
Yes, against my wishes. Good morning, Sinette. How is it in Denmark? She says cool and dark. Well, it is rainy. Not too cool, just rainy. Very rainy. It's supposed to rain all day today. So baby girl won't get to play much today. She went out just a little bit.
Yo, stay with us, cause I might have to check out. Go to the restroom.
Well, you didn't have to say that online.
Well, I mean, you know.
Oh my God. Hello,
Anyway,
Kim.
we're here.
The whole world knows you're going to have to go to the bathroom. Hey, Brother James and Sue. Hey, sweetheart. How are you? Dee Dee and George, good morning to you guys. Tanita, good morning to you.
Okay.
Brother Kessler had you on my mind all day yesterday and Thursday. Yeah, I'm glad you are on here today. And there's Sissy and brother-in-law. They were going to come on with us this morning, but we couldn't get this audio quite right. But they're decided they're going to come on with us one Sunday morning, one Tuesday night, and share their story and their discoveries. And if they can figure it out today, they can still come in. But if not, it's fine. We'll see them next time. But hey, Phyllis and Edward. Hey, Sister Pearl. There's Joe and Jill. Jill just came in.
Mm-hmm.
And then Judy Hill. Hey, Judy. How are you, sweetheart? Brother Blue and his family. Good morning.
Sue.
And Sue said, feel better, Pastor. The flu sucks. Sue said, feel better, Pastor.
Okay.
You don't have your hearing aid in it.
Yeah, I do.
You do have it in?
Yeah, still right there.
Vincent, hey, sweetheart. He said, or you could say you may have to check in. Yes. And there's KK. Hey, KK.
Yeah.
Tanita said, she knows you keep it real.
Say what?
Read it.
Oh.
Can you see it?
Yeah,
I
see it with my ears and hear
it. He's stuffy and can't hear, and he's determined against, like I said, against my wishes. But anyway, that's what he always does, and he's fine. So let me take my banner down. I put some things in the comment section that I wanted to kind of touch base on today. And of course, I'm not sure what Pastor has to say, but we will bring it all together, I'm sure. I wanted to put out before you, is there a difference in contentment and happiness? And I know a lot of us want to be happy. We look for the pursuit of happiness, but is there a difference? And if it is, I'd like to talk about it because I had some things go through me on this week that kind of opened me up to what real contentment is and what happens when you have awakened. There isn't a state of exuberance consistently. But anyway, we'll talk about it. So I wanted to put that on there as well. Let's see who else has come in. Leslie just came in. Hey, sweetheart, how are you? Hope you and Dad and the family are doing okay. We got you in here. Let's do our affirmation and then we'll jump in. All right, you can say this with me if you choose, or you can simply listen and allow it to reflect and go inside, deep inside you, or you can hear it as though you are speaking it. And I want you to just sit and be still if you can. If there's not a whole lot of busyness around you, you can center in. and leave everything else out. Suspend everything about your concerns, even the concern for pastor right now, even though that's an issue. I want you to just suspend that for a moment. Even any concerns that you may have about your own personal life, let that be suspended for a moment. And let's acknowledge God inside and as us. And that's what worship is. When you begin to acknowledge God, that is true worship. It isn't so much lifting hands or saying hallelujah or kneeling. It's more when you acknowledge God here inside yourself. It's when you're really, really worshiping. So let's do this. My heart opens when I see Christ in myself and as myself. I'm awakening to this truth that sets me free by showing me that I am already free. I have looked for God and found myself. I have looked for myself and found God. My heart, which is the heart of God, is now open and exposed. I allow all beliefs, defenses, and accumulated knowledge to be suspended so that I can embody this truth. I lay down all beliefs about God, myself, and others. The veil of my conditioning is being stripped away. And now the concept of myself is being removed. And there is a divine impartation of knowing. Knowing the truth is my point of recognition of what I am. I am the same essence as God. Seeing God within myself, I find that God is seeing himself. The awareness that I use to see God is the same awareness that God uses to see me. I am witnessing the uncovering of the self that I am. And so it is. And so it is.
Okay.
How are you doing right this minute?
I'm listening and waiting.
Okay. Phyllis says that she hates that you had to be sick on your birthday. Edward is too.
Edward is having
Hoping you recover soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both hoping you recover. And he is recovering. He's better than he was
Last
Thursday
night.
and Friday and yesterday. Yes, he is better.
She had to call the boogie to come and get me.
Yeah, he was in the ER and we got there and of course, there wasn't much going on at ER, so it was good. We got in and out fast. But they said he did a chest x-ray. His lungs were clear. And of course, they did a COVID test. They always do that. And it came back negative, and the doctor said that it's simply the flu.
It was a bad case.
A bad case of the flu. And he said there are cases, he said he's seeing more cases of the flu than he is COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been having kind of an onslaught of that. So It is what it is. He said you just have to ride it out. Ride it out. So
I tell you, it's been a ride too.
yeah. Okay,
Okay.
I wanted to touch this by just a minute if you feel like you're okay.
Okay, good.
Vincent chimed in about my comment. Uh, I wanted to post it so that everyone can see it. Contentment. Contentment. I looked it up, let me go back and say why I was thinking about this in the first place. I was doing my daily walk the other day, and I realized that there was a place inside me that had come to an absolute limpness. That's the best way I can describe it. It had just gone limp. There was no grasping. There was no wanting. There was no trying to become, trying to be, trying not to be. All the motion, and I could say emotion, all the motion towards something or move away from or toward was gone. And I realized that at that moment that is what contentment was. And I remember there's a scripture where Paul, and I'm going to find it in a second. Someone out there who's a Bible scholar can find where Paul said, I have learned that in whatever state I find myself, I am content. And I would like for you to put that on the screen if you find it. But it says the definition, the real meaning of contentment is an emotional state of satisfaction that can be seen as a mental state drawn from being at ease in one's situation, body and mind. And then let me go back and put it up here the way I've got it, because I had to post it as a comment in order for it to all get in there. Okay. Let's see if I can find it. Give me a moment. Yeah, here it is. I'll post it like that. There it is. It says, it is an emotional state of satisfaction that can be seen as a mental state drawn from being at ease in one's situation, body and mind. Colloquially speaking, contentment could be a state of having accepted one's situation and is a milder and more tentative form of happiness. And I thought that was really, really interesting. That 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 contentment even ridded me of the pursuit of happiness. And so Vincent's comment, he says, contentment keeps you free. It allows you to be a blank slate. And I remember, Vincent, something you said the other night when you were on the live with us as a guest, and you mentioned your incident with your vehicle that was totaled. And you felt the resistance when they said they were going to total it, when the insurance company said they were going to total it. And then all of a sudden you just said, okay, you just accepted it. And there was a freedom that came from that. I was reminded of that when I thought of contentment. And then I looked up what happiness is. Let's see what I can, if it'll go on there, if it'll actually do that. Okay, it says it is the opposite of sadness. This is what the meaning of happiness was. Happiness is a sense of well-being or joy or contentment. So it's a sense of well-being and joy. But that isn't what I felt. I didn't feel a sense of well-being or joyful. There was just no push, no pull.
Mm-hmm.
There was no desire to become. Does that make any sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I found that I would rather have the contentment, I think, than the happiness. We look for joy and bliss, but that isn't reality for us as human beings in this earth plane. But contentment is definitely something we
I
can
was
have.
listening at a lady in there a few minutes ago talking about her near-death experience.
Mm-hmm.
In my research, I found that some people leave in their head, some leave different ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when she was out of her body, she could hear what the medical staff was talking about her condition. She died. She really actually died.
Mm-hmm.
But she said when she was out, she came to a place where she didn't have any eyes.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have a head. She didn't have any ears,
Mm-hmm.
no limbs.
Mm-hmm.
But yet she could see and sense all of this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she heard a voice say no. And that was because she knew that she had children, and the voice recognized that. But she could see all directions at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And she came back, but when she did, she came back through her navel. And she said it was the most painful thing that she'd ever experienced, is coming back into a body that was in pain.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it wasn't as much pain, small pain is big. When you leave it and you don't have any pain and then come back. And the
And
people in the surgical wards, they jumped when she came back. One of them, I think, something passed out or whatever it was. And she realized that voice that said no, and the pain, the excruciating pain she was having, brought her back.
I think that's what I experienced that morning in my walk. There was the absence of pain.
Yeah.
Any kind of pain, emotional, psychological, physical. There was the absence of pain. Even if there was physical pain, there was no emotional pain, no psychological pain, no mental disturbance. That's what contentment was, and it was the best that I've felt in a long time.
Uh, then there was another man that said when he came out of his body, the first thing he wanted to see was Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So he was sent to a place. He went to a place, and it was trees. And he went into walking through the trees or moving, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
He felt the presence of Jesus, but he hadn't been able to see him. He said all he ever wanted to do was see him. And he looked over to his left, and when he did, he dropped to his knees, and Jesus lifted him up, and he saw him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people have his arms around him. Now, let me tell you about, you're talking about contentment and pain.
Mm-hmm.
I was carried in the arms of a lady who took up with me. That was my uncle's wife. They never did have any children, but I was chosen to be everybody's child and son, even down to a point where there was a teacher that I had reading improvement of in the class. She never had any children. And I researched and found out that she had chosen many, many students to be her child, but it didn't work out.
Project.
And I was the last one.
Her
A
projects.
project, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she did not succeed with that. But at this point, I'm telling you about pain. The pain body that I had to live with was when my aunt was holding me in her arms. She told my uncle, she said, "You're going to hit me with this child in my arms." And he hit her. With me and her, we went over in the corner. When I got up to where I could walk real good, when they would start fighting, she'd always put me in between me and her. She asked the question again. I'm pained and I'm holding on to his pants leg. And I'm crying, travailing, crying, and hurt and pain. Don't do this. Don't do this. I kept saying it. I couldn't say it with words because I couldn't see things. And he did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So as I got older, the pain got so severe that I knew the pattern that he was going to take on. And so I don't know why I couldn't read. I didn't I couldn't comprehend things in a book. But I heard somebody say, go in your closet, and your Father that see you in secret shall reward you openly. And that's where I went. When the kitchen was filled up, packed with moonshiners, I knew that it was getting ready to happen because he would take a mason jar full of moonshine and turn it up. Everybody else drinking, but he'd wait and he would turn it up. And he'd be pouring it in his mouth, and it'd be running out the side of his mouth. And everybody was looking at him, and some of them say, "Man, you ought to be ashamed of yourself," something like that. But I was in the closet. When I went in that closet, my aunt said, "Y'all be quiet. He's in the closet." That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I went in there and came out, and he still didn't stop anything.
Right.
When I saw Jesus in person, one of the first things I saw in him was a heart that was asphyxiated with pain. Pain beyond anything that I could, even though I've had pain with this flu thing, but so when I cough, every muscle in my body would ache. My stomach's sore, my back is sore, I got muscle spasm everywhere and the pain. But when I looked at his heart, he let me see it. Every bit of discomfort and pain that humanity that would experience. I don't care where you are, Laverne, Johnny, you and her, Johnny, you and her, your wife has been going through some of the most painful disruptions of life based on what I know of you guys. No human being would be able to exist with the pain that your husband is going through right now. But he's still going. That body will have to move at the strength. Let me just say it right out. It's no way he could be where he is except for the Lord Jesus Christ, the eternal essence of God. And your husband is what's keeping him in. Mm-hmm. He will stay with Johnny and in this pain and suffering and use everything possible in his presence and his beingness. Jesus said, "I was sick and you visited me not. I was naked, you didn't clothe me. If you done it unto the least of them, you done it unto him." The him that is you, Laverne, is him. The him that is Johnny is him. Mm-hmm. It's hard to see it when pain is there. Yeah. It's hard to see it when you are the main victim of situations. It's hard for you to believe that you married a man, you love him with all your soul and your heart, and it's hard to believe that you end up in a situation like this. No one would have predicted this, but I do know this, and it's hard for me to see it. Jesus and you and your husband are the same one that I met, that you've heard talk about. Everybody don't have this experience like I did. That's and right. I don't have the experience like you do. That's right. But I will tell you one thing. The church, if it ever hear anybody say and really mean it, that God is in them, they don't like that. I heard them say, "I got the Holy Ghost." They'll say God in me, but they don't take it literally. Mm-hmm. When I told somebody that Galatians 2:20, "I'm crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ live." And I tell them that we all were inside of him, nailed to that wood, post, cross, whatever way you want to shape it. I say, you were in there too. Most of the church stand at the foot of the cross and look, they don't identify with him personally. Mm-hmm. But what I did.
But he identifies with us personally.
Yes, he does.
Yes.
The man wanted to see nobody but Jesus. Yes. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah. And I still have that. Even though I know where he is, I know that I'm talking to him. When they showed me how to see him in everybody, whether they were saved in the church, born again or not born again, drug addicts, rapists, uh, farmer, suicidal person, murder, any victim that's in prison, even those that are in prison for life, he is them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I cannot explain to you. When somebody come up to me and say, "Are you saying you God?" I break down with this in a way that I can explain it to them, but their ears are not open to hear, and their eyes are not open to see.
It's hard for them.
But I'm gonna tell you something. And
I don't mean to interrupt you, but it. So what you're basically saying, I hear you saying, is that learned knowledge won't carry you through this life. Just what you've learned by reading, studying, listening to other people, that will not carry you through this life.
I started reading.
Go ahead.
I started reading. He told me to get a book, and he showed me how. And I went to bookstores. I got books in there I don't even touch anymore. And the reason why I'm saying this, you may be a protege of the Course in Miracles or the King James Version, American Standard, I don't care what it is. And I tell people this, if you ever see him, if it's ever revealed to him or to you, so we are a revelation to him.
Yeah. And,
we are
and
a
he
gift.
To us. And he to us.
And he is, everybody don't know that they are a gift to God.
Yes. And a gift to the world.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's no way Johnny could be where he is. I know who he is. I know who we hear from. The Christ in him, as him. He may not have gone to church and learned what you learned, Laverne, but he is the same. And I know him. At any point that my brother, outside of his body, at any point, he knew that he was still existing. And he gave proof of it.
Yeah. And there, the scripture in Galatians where Paul said, when it pleased God to separate me from my mother's womb, to reveal his son in me.
Yeah.
In other words, he didn't have a Jesus revealed to him that was separate and apart from him.
Yeah, that's right.
It was inside him and as him. And so his whole experience was one of recognition. And so it's how it is when you meet somebody on the street or in a place and they act as if they know you, or they know you but you don't know them.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll fake it, we'll pretend we know them. We'll say, "Oh yeah, good to see you." And when we get away from them, we'll say, "Who was that?" But because they knew us, but we didn't recognize them. And so at some point, after you leave them, it might come to you. It'll come to you. Oh, that's who that is. The recognition comes. So it's just like that in your life, in your everyday life. What you learn, what you hear, what you read, those things don't stay with you, but what you recognize stays with you. And that's what I mean when I said I had this recognition of absolute contentment, where there was the absence of any kind of emotional, psychological pain. It was gone. And that came by recognition. It didn't come because I knew something. It didn't come because I knew or remembered something I had learned. That didn't happen.
The mind thinks that it gets involved with God through reading and studying.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that I got involved with God without that.
Yes. But it came through recognition.
And I found this out.
Yeah.
The recognition that I recognized that was recognition. was him in me on this side, and him and me as him on the other side that recognized himself recognizing.
Yes. Now Laverne's chiming in.
Yes.
And we were speaking directly to Laverne because where our hearts have been with her during this situation, and it's weighing on us. So yes, we speak directly to her. She said, yes, it's hard, but God.
I hear you, honey. I see you. I know you for many years. I know your heart. Nobody can say this to you but the Christ that is your husband and yourself.
Yes.
I'm aware of it. Everything that's going on with him. I can't talk much about it, but I know it. There's no words to express the pain that your husband is in and you. This lady sitting beside me, I had a chance to look at her 50 years ago, and I saw who it was in her suit that was with me. I never thought all the pain and suffering I went through in school. I went every day, never missed a day, up to the 12th grade. I didn't know that there was I didn't date girls in school because they were in classrooms with me, and I didn't think that they wanted to be with a guy that couldn't read his assignment. So I stayed away from him. But when I met her, it didn't make any difference. She probably knew something like this from the beginning, but it didn't make any difference to her. So she was healing to me. I'll tell you this, Laverne. The education that you're getting right now, flesh and bones and blood seem like it is, but it cannot give you the experience that Jesus Christ has given you with your husband.
Yes.
I have a heart to feel you in him, and it is the Jesus heart.
This is the other part of my walk, the revelations that were coming to me during that walk. This was last week.
Yeah.
And I have been hearing for the last week or so, don't rush the process. Don't rush the process. And then I had this come through about another mode of egotism. When we have concern about another person, like I've been concerned about you with the flu and all of that, wrapped in that concern was also an egotistical, how is this going to affect me? And I remember during my walk, I had this epiphany that most of the suffering we've had about others really isn't about the other person. It's about what they're going through or not going through, or what they're doing or not doing is affecting me. And I realized that the ego has issued out many prayers. Under the guise of love, under the guise of trying to be loving and concerned about the other person, when in actuality, we are only concerned with how this whole thing is impacting us. That is the egotistical mode that I recognized during my walk. After that, it was right when before Thanksgiving started. And when Thanksgiving came and you started coughing, I knew immediately why I had that revelation come to me, why that recognition hit me, because I could not be concerned about what was going on with you simply because of how it affected me.
Yeah, I understand.
And so I had that egotistical thought was dismantled, and therefore I was able to give you all of the attention that you needed without thinking about what I was going through. And so and I'm not saying that I've arrived, but I'm saying at the recognition of Christ, the recognition of the ego, recognition of any of those things, when that comes, there is an opening that takes place.
Yeah.
And when that opening takes place, you then begin to navigate through life as Christ.
Let me tell you something that just happened to me, to you guys out there. I'm out there sewing on my sewing machine. It's an industrial machine. All of a sudden, it stopped sewing. I'm thinking it's the thread that got tangled up in there.
Mind you, he was doing this while he was going through this
I'm
flu.
going through this coughing and pain, body pain.
Yeah.
4 screws came out, at least 3 anyway. They were so tiny.
Itsy bitsy screws, yes.
And it's a part of the sewing machine. It's called a hook. When it turns around, it'll come to the thread. It'll hook it and pull it out, and for the needle to go through the material, it wouldn't do it. So I had to take it apart and looked underneath there, and a piece fell off. I looked everywhere for the screws. I managed to get. I lost the 2 that came out. I probably put them in a trash can. Didn't even know it. But they were so little that you wouldn't be able to see it with the eye until you found it. So I went out there this morning. I let it rest. I let go of it. I went out this morning. I got a stool that I set on that roller around like they have in mechanic shops. I'm sitting on it. I was standing up and I moved that stool. You got 4 wheels on it, moving a swivel roller wheels on it. And I moved that stool and it started sliding like a wheel was locked in place. It wouldn't move. I said, what in the world's going on? I done looked everywhere on the floor and everywhere. I done talked to the angel and asked him to show me where the screw was. I didn't get no response. But this morning I went out there, as sick as I was, I moved that thing, that stool out of the way, and the wheel started scraping. I rolled it back and looked under there, and there was the screw. All right, I got that one. I was standing there in the pan that catches all material. So it said to me, run your hand around through this stuff. You done been around 3 or 4 times. And I declare unto you, I then put my finger right on it. You couldn't see it with glasses. And there it was. Now, the reason why I lost the screw is because I'm shaking so with this bug, and I'm still like that, and I can't find out what I took glue, paper. I might use some of your tape over there to find it. It was terrible. I couldn't do anything. At the last moment, I found Jesus again. I found Spirit again. But Spirit was working with me on the sewing machine. And all the pain that I went through and pain I was in going out there. Why would I go out there now? It's cold and I don't need to be out there. But yet I was sent.
And I'm asleep, so I don't know he's out there.
I'm sent by. I don't know what else to say. I'm sent by.
You're sent.
I know it. It was that sent me was the sender and the sending all in
and that goes right back to the whole spiel about recognition. You recognize there was a sender.
Yeah.
That sent something out there and did that.
I didn't want to go to the hospital.
I know you didn't.
I told her, wait. I called so much, she called. What a minute or so seemed like they was out here. Here I go. I've been in the back of that thing so many times. This guy was driving this thing, and the guy back there with me holding on to me. He's driving like a wild turkey. I had a chance to touch the lives of 4 or 5 people all at once because of this.
Yeah. And actually, in actuality, they didn't do anything for you because they couldn't. They couldn't.
All this, what did he say to me to do?
He said, my advice to you is that you take a teaspoon of honey, 3 times a day and ride it out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I took 2 of them this morning.
Well, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I was sweet. I'm sweet now.
And drink plenty fluids and get rest. That's all he said. Drink plenty fluids and get rest.
Excuse me.
So look, there's some comments I want to mention here that we've been talking in the comments have been coming, and I didn't mean to ignore you guys, but this message is hot out of the oven, so to speak.
Look at that.
Now,
Oh my God.
you're talking about what Vincent says?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
He said he sees the blue light of healing around. And I wanted to say this. It's one thing to, and this goes back to the contentment again. It's one thing to want to be healed or to try to be healed or to try to believe that you're healed or to ask God to heal you. But it's another thing to actually begin to recognize your healed self, awakening to your healed self.
Now.
Yeah, and I wanted, let me finish some of the comments, Pastor, if you don't mind. Vincent made another comment, and I'm not sure how the way you worded it, you're going to have to give me some little expansion on this, Vincent. But he says, currently pastors are teaching broken word. It's most of the truth, but the rest is on you to keep from rocking the boat and losing money. They want you to be happy in your reality, not in truth. Not sure why you said that, so kick back at us if you would. And Sinette says, you are as God created you. God's son cannot suffer, and you are God's son. That is recognition of healing. Yes.
Thank you.
And Phyllis says, it was when you let go of that screw that you found it.
That's right.
That's the key,
right.
Phyllis, is the actual letting go. And it's not a trying to let go. It's an actual letting go.
What brought about a deliverance of freedom is that I know who I'm looking at and talking to on this site. It's him.
Yeah.
There's nobody else here but him.
Yeah.
That's not even in us.
Yeah.
I look at you, and I don't mind telling. I didn't get a chance to tell them guys that in the ambulance last night. What do you call that thing? EMD. That's what it is.
EMS.
EMA.
EMS. I think it's EMS. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If we were infinite and eternal before coming into this world, before the earth was made, before the elements of this dream world existed, we have always been. And you know what? There are some people that I know that I could go to and tell them what we're talking about. They would switch it around. I have a cousin who's my half brother. He told me, the Bible doesn't say this, the Bible doesn't say that. I told him, I said, there are some things that are said that you don't find in the book.
That's true. And there's some things that are said that are in the book, but you can't see it because you're too blind to see.
Thank you. So I don't have any problem with them. I went through the test 17 years in R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company in North Carolina. 17 years of the debateism. When they found out that one night I was out, next night I was back in, completely changed. The experience that I had with the suffering of Jesus in his heart, broken into a million pieces. Yes. Then he turned around and stuck the thing in me. I said, I look at this thing like
stuck the thing in you.
Stuck that thing in me. That heart.
And you had to live with that.
I didn't want that, but he stuck it in me.
You had to live with that heart for 50-some years.
Yes.
Yes.
I saw it. I felt it. I looked at it.
I put it like this. Your ego has had to live with that heart for 54 years.
I stood there and watched him from over my head up on my left side. And then he took it out. I saw him and I looked back down and wham, he done opened my chest up and the fire was blazing out and I'm fanning it. And it was the thought come to me, quit fanning it, you're making it hotter. You're giving it oxygen. So here it is. The oxygenation that causes the heart of Jesus to exist is the suffering that you're going through and the pain that is being fanned by the experience is what keeps the fire of God burning in your heart. That's a hard saying. I just say that, said there. I wish, let me say this. You being who it is as him that know this, there will come a place in this pathless path. If you ever find out what it is like to be without this pain, you won't want to come back to it. I heard my wife say one time, once you touch life, something you said a long time ago.
You won't go back to death.
Once you touch life, you won't go back to death.
You won't.
And that's what I've experienced.
Yeah.
Out of all this time, I hadn't been like this in years.
You mean the flu?
Yeah. I've had it before. Me and you both had it.
Well, sure.
Nothing like this. Done had all of the flu shots.
Even when you had COVID, it wasn't this bad.
Had the flu shot, 3 or 4 boosteriers.
Yeah.
And here I am with a little simple thing like this. And it kept mounting up and mounting up to finally. But I do know this. I had to meet those people. I had to meet those people in that emergency room. And wasn't hardly nobody working.
That's true.
I told her, I said, if we had come over here on our own, we probably wouldn't, ain't no telling what we would have. We've been crazy. All I can say to you, the nature of the mind is always changing, but we don't. Something must be seen that cannot be seen. The seeing and not seeing is the key.
The recognizing.
Now here, look. I picked this up somewhere. I don't know where it came from, but I did. The reason why there's an addiction to this dimension like we feel all the time in separation. The reason why the addiction everybody get into in this world, separation. I got a line down the side of my house, the neighbor. The leaves fall on her side and my side. But when they get ready to get up the leaves, I see a line going down the side.
Small section.
Yes. Yeah, small section. They move the leaves that they feel like is on their property and leave mine. But when I go out there to move the leaves,
we get theirs and ours.
I clean their yard and mine at the same time. Since I'm not able to get out there and do it like I used to, whoever I get to do the cutting and the leaves, I'll tell them cut theirs too.
It's just a little strip.
Yeah.
But that is the mind of separation. This is mine and that is yours. And it seems very innocent. It's not a big deal, but it's how everybody lives. It's how everybody lives.
Yep. Now, I look around the room, and right now the light is pink. Everything.
I know, pink. And we're going to cut it short because you need to rest. You really.
I can understand. As a song that says, "Oh, I want to see him and look upon his face." Yeah. What's the rest of it?
There to live forever on his saving grace.
Yeah, go ahead. Some more.
On the streets of glory. I forgot the words.
I'm telling you the truth. It's all right. It's okay. Laverne, me and you, us, you with Johnny and me with this gracious spirit right beside me. I go to the kitchen a lot, Laverne, and I cry, holding on to both counters. We need each other.
We do.
She didn't want to come on this morning because she didn't think I was apt to do this. I told her I would be okay. She said, I can't be like you. She'd been up all night, off and on. But I made it. And there's a strength that comes through with you and Johnny that is supernatural. That's all I can say. I rest my case.
Mhm, mhm.
There are some people that are going through some things right now. When I think about what Johnny's going through compared to what I did, I don't touch it.
And there are many going through it.
Yeah,
and
many.
and to different degrees.
That's right.
And I don't care what kind of pain you're experiencing. No pain is better or lesser than the other. When
That's
you're
right.
in pain, you feel it. That's the way it is.
What I'm trying to do now, and what she was really saying to you about pain, is comfort. The comforter, which is the Holy Spirit.
The comforter, yes, the comforter.
Give me a break. Somebody need to go out and play in traffic.
Now, why
Words.
you say that?
I say that. I'm making a point. You can talk to somebody about what they're going through.
Give them words.
Give them words of encouragement.
Mhm,
But you,
mhm, mhm,
an empath,
mhm.
empathicnism is to identify yourself as one with that suffering, the way in compassion you feel them.
But this goes all the way back to what I was saying in the very beginning.
Mhm.
I can't feel you if
Mhm.
I'm overwhelmed with what's happening
Now
to
you're
you
talking.
is messing with me.
That's right.
And that has to get out of the way. That how this is messing with me, how this is affecting me. I can't feel you when I'm constantly absorbed with how is this going to feel to me? What will I experience?
Yeah.
That has to go and it has to be removed
Mm-hmm.
from the situation. And many of us say that we pray for our loved ones and we want the things to change, but we really, in real honesty, want that to change because of how it affects us.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't about the other person at all and their well-being. It's usually about how this has affected me, so this is why I want it to change. That is not honest prayer. That is an egotistical desire to have happiness the way you want it and your fantasy fulfilled as an ego. And so I'm beginning to realize that all the ego fantasies that I have had, I'm beginning to recognize the ego fantasies that I've had. And now they are being let go of, not because I'm so strong and I can do that. I can let go of it, but because at the recognition comes the power to dismantle it.
That's right. You know what? I think I had 3 Joes in my family. My brother name was Joe. My granddaddy name was Joe.
You had more than that. Your sister was married to a Joe.
My sister
and then
was
she
married to
married, then she named her son
Joe.
Joe.
That's 4.
Yeah. Yeah. So you had
Each one of these
Joes.
Joes that I know, even Mr. Joe on with us today, every Joe that I have been around has gone through some type of suffering of the loss of a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm reminded that each one of these Joes was divinely ordered for me to be with.
Yes.
I had to be with my brother. I had to be with my granddad. I had to shave him when he couldn't shave himself.
Mm-hmm.
I stood with this Joe in my church at the loss of his wife.
Yes.
There's something about these Joes.
Yes. Now, Pearl, thank you, sweetheart. She said, that's the key, co-pastor. I had to release me and see who was actually the caregiver to my late husband and who it was that was being cared for.
Oh, yes.
And Vincent says, emote in emotion means against. So you have leaned against the motion of what's happening with love. That's good. Thank you, Vincent. Thank you. And Judy says, Pastor and everyone holding you in the love that we are and share.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Leslie says, we'll understand it better by and by.
Yes.
And Angel, thank you, darling. Thank you,
Angel.
sweetheart. Yeah, that's Angel.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. She was your angel in the hospital too, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
that's Angel.
4720,
that's
right?
Angel, yes.
Yeah, Angel. I was wondering, was I going to see you over there this time? But I was down. I don't know.
You were in the ER, so you didn't go upstairs.
Yeah, that's Oh, I thought about you when I was over there. I was one, I was well, loser. What do they call that? Loser. I didn't know where
What
I
are you
was.
saying?
I'm trying to say where I was.
You were in ER this
I was
week.
in the ER, but
You met her when you had your shoulder surgery.
I know, but
Yes.
was in the same building where I was last night. Anyway,
In the hospital.
in the hospital. Okay,
You gotta stop. You gotta stop.
but
We've gotta go, guys.
I look for all the familiar faces when I come over there.
Yeah.
I had no intention of coming,
Yeah.
but I had to meet some different people.
Yeah. So now, guys, we are going to take off. I hope this was a blessing to you and that you.
I'll be back.
Oh, of course, you'll be back.
We'll be back.
Yes, we'll be back. Yeah, sometimes against my wishes.
Yeah.
It comes, but it's okay. It's okay.
I asked this one thing.
What's that?
That you guys out there would be empathic enough, and I'm not using this as a manipulation or anything. Please think about us when you go to the soup pot.
Oh, by the way, we need to thank everybody that sent you money or gifts or cards
And
or
even
phone calls or took you
send
out to lunch or for your birthday. For your birthday.
Yeah,
and
thank
you
you.
Can't be wincing on TV on the broadcast.
I understand. I'm trying to be nice.
We're gonna take off. We're gonna take off because
Okay.
you guys are gonna see him act up.
Thank you for all that you've done and the gifts. We receive anything that you send. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sinette. She's sending you healing, blessings, and healing.
I receive it.
Yes, yes.
Leslie,
yes.
I receive it.
Yes.
Dion, I receive it. Laverne, I receive it. We give it all to you. Okay. You guys keep your nose clean, your britches on. Don't take no wooden nickels.
My gosh. He's still his crazy self. Look, we love you. We'll be back Tuesday night, Lord willing, and at 7:00. And we are going to take off here and enjoy our Sunday rainy afternoon.
Yeah, it's pouring up out there.
I'm going to make him some chicken soup.
Real stuff.
Some real chicken soup.
Not
the canned kind.
For you.
We love you. Thank you so much.
Look for you on Tuesday night.
Yes.
At 7.
Bye.
Okay? Bye-bye. Thank you.